You did good. Call the planning commission meeting to order. The clerk call the roll, please.
President Weatherspoon.
Here.
Michael Moore.
Present.
Amy Baden.
Here.
Michelle Cook. Here. Brad Bruin.
Here.
Trustee Nancy Pierce.
Here.
And I believe Jeff Hintz is still coming. I did not receive word he was. He is.
Approval of the minutes from the planning commission meeting February 23rd. Can I have a motion on that, please?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Thank you, Nancy. Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion on those minutes? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved. New business, item 4A, building site and operations plan review. Review of building site operations plan for the construction of a multifamily residential development consisting of 130 units and a clubhouse on the parcel located in the southeast corner of 4 Mile and North Green Bay Road, submitted by Nick Jung, applicant F Street Caledonia LLC owner. Mr. Wagner, did you want to, oh, Natalia, hi. Did you want to enlighten us on this great project?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Just to give some context regarding this project here, as Mr. President said, the applicant is proposing 130 residential units, and they would be distributed among 5 apartment buildings, and each building would have 26 units. They are also proposing a clubhouse. And just for context regarding their prior submission, so prior to submitting this site plan for review, they also requested and received approval for a conditional use, allowing the construction of apartment buildings containing more than 8 units. And the resolution of approval was 2026-033, approved in April 17th, 2026. So now just to review some of the aspects of the proposal, specifically regarding the buildings. So all of the buildings are similar in character, and you can see on the screen the renderings of the buildings that are proposed. And mainly, as I said, each building will be composed of 26 units, and they will be distributed between 2 floors, so they won't be above 2 floors. And overall, the building facades, as you can see, they have a very distinct base, middle, and top, which is in accordance with our design guidelines. They are also proposing neutral stone, black, white, and shades of gray and green. So just some more about the facades that are directly facing the street. And you can see this is an example of an elevation facing the street, which will be the case for buildings 1 and 3, and we will show the site plan in a bit. The majority of this visible perimeter of the building would be composed of fiber cement siding and masonry veneer, and that is in accordance with our design guidelines. Shingle roofing composes less than 35% of the visible building perimeter, which is in accordance with our zoning ordinance as well. And each building will also include 12 garage doors, which are on the bottom part of the elevation, as you can see. And per design standards, garage doors must be screened or attractively designed to minimize visual impact. And the applicant did propose a design that is in accordance with the overall building, and they also proposed landscaping along some strategic parts of the site for screening. And specifically about the clubhouse, and you can see the design of the clubhouse through that rendering on the screen right now. It is a 1-story building, similar in character with the other proposed residential buildings. The facades will also be composed of fiber cement siding with a masonry base on all sides. More than 60% of the north facade, which is the one that you can see along this side close to the bushes, is composed of single roofing and asphalt shingle and metal roofing. and these are not acceptable materials according to our design guidelines and zoning ordinance. However, the planning department recommends approval of these materials since most of the building is composed of acceptable exterior materials, and a 3/4 majority vote of the plan commission is necessary to approve this proposed exterior. And just one thing to note is that the west elevation, which is not appearing on that screen right now, but includes one garage door that is within that visible perimeter, and that's close to 4 Mile Road. And as recommended by the village design standards, the garage door is also proposed in neutral colors, and they also added some landscaping to screen that part of the site. And just as we transition to an analysis of the site plan, the proposed buildings, they meet and exceed the district setback and height requirements. A 5-foot sidewalk is also proposed along the street lines on 4 Mile Road and Green Bay Road, as was required by staff. And per code, the development is required to provide 260 parking spaces, and they are providing 266. And those garage spaces, they are divided between surface parking, garage parking, and apron parking. As for exterior dumpsters proposed on site, it might be hard to see, but there are 3 proposed locations that are in the red circles. Here on the northwest side of the building, on the northeast side, and on the southeast side of the property. They're all proposed with masonry exterior and siding to cover that exterior of the dumpster enclosure. And some of the dumpster locations, specifically in the northwest and southeast parts of the site, the applicant proposes some landscaping as well to increase screening. And as for the landscaping plan, which is going to be presented next over here, as you can see, the applicant is proposing strategic landscaping along some parts where you have parking to screen the parking lots from the roadway and also from the neighboring property. To the south over here, there is a landscape buffer for a future single-family home development. And the only minor revision that the applicant will have to do is include street edge landscaping in front of building 3, because they do propose street edge landscaping along this northwest part and southwest part, but in front of building 3, we don't have street edge landscaping, and according to our design guidelines, the trees cannot be spaced more than 50 feet on the street edge. So these are some minor revisions that the applicant will have to do. And in conclusion, all of the other lighting requirements were fulfilled by our zoning code and design guidelines, and no signs were proposed as part of this development. And now I move on to Ryan to explain a little bit more about the engineering requirements, and the applicant is also here to respond to any questions. Thank you.
All right, so in your package, there was a summary of the traffic impact analysis that was submitted to the village staff that went through a couple revisions and iterations over a couple months leading up to today's summary, as well as a future board meeting review and approval or recommendation of approval of that TIA. In summary, all of the proposed developments, construction impacts, which would be the intersection at the north driveway on 4 Mile Road, to the south and west side for Green Bay Road, have all movement operations meeting level of service C or better, which is the village's standard. They were also requested to analyze the intersection of Green Bay Road and 4 Mile Road. That intersection, all traffic movements meet level of service C or better, with the exception of one, which was highlighted in here as the left-hand turn movement or westbound movement from Green Bay Road onto 4 Mile Road. that unfortunately currently exist in a state which is not meeting level of service C or better. Level of service C meaning 25 seconds or less of delay or waiting. So it's a pretty small threshold already to meet that level of service C. And the full build out and development of this proposed apartment complex and any future residential development to the south was analyzed, and the increase in those delays is shown and highlighted in the report, 63 seconds to 79, 20 years out. And then car queue lengths, or buildup of cars in that turn lane of 3 or 4 cars. So as part of this overall review, staff sees that everything seems to meet village standards with the exception of this one turn movement. And per our resolution establishing our TIA standards and guidelines, that the village board has the right to review and recommend modifications to that requirement if those improvements in order to meet a level of service C are considered excessive or unnecessary. And in this case, the only way to achieve a better level of service or lower delay in that single left turn movement is to put a roundabout in or a traffic signal. A traffic signal is not warranted and is not recommended as part of this traffic impact analysis. And a roundabout would cost a significant number of dollars, right-of-way impact, and potentially putting a local business out of business that's located right across the street at Mosquito Inn. Because that would be no simple feat to just build a roundabout there without impacting them. So, Natalia, do you think you can put up that the colorful site plan that was? Staff, the developer, development team, and I think even members of our village board have highlighted concerns about this area. We've tried to work with the developer and maybe find ways to introduce some traffic calming aspects to this area. That would include medians being installed, whether the landscaping is trees, grass, rock, is not for discussion at this time. That's something we can look at, but those medians would be installed to, like I said, help introduce some traffic calming, help provide some greenery or landscape features that introduce you to the business district of Caledonia as you head eastbound into that area. And maybe even if you get a little bit slower speeds, provide some openings that are in addition to the ones already analyzed by the consulting engineers for people making those turn movements. The only recommended geometric change as part of the TIA was to add a bypass lane on 4 Mile Road at the north axis of the development. Now, rather than having a bypass lane, we actually had that modified and included here to be a dedicated left turn lane into the development, as well as a dedicated left turn lane onto Green Bay Road from 4 Mile Road. As a lot of you may already be aware, I have concerns, and so do some of the local internal staff. People heading westbound have to sometimes swing around the person turning southbound on the Green Bay Road. And guess who has a wide open driveway access sitting right there at Mosquito Inn?
Yeah.
And whether it's perceived or it's actually near misses that we have heard about for years and years, that is something that would be hopefully resolved with this to an extent where we're actually getting people into a dedicated turn lane, and then people can continue to go straight westbound through 4 Mile Road. So that is way more than I wrote in my report, but if you have any other additional questions, I can try to clarify on top of that, but that is in general the summary of that 200-page document that I had to go through. So unless Natalia had anything else, I turn it back to you, Mr. President.
Thank you, sir. Thank you both. You did a nice job. Okay, we'll have a motion on the floor, and then we can open it to the committee to discuss. So,
Make a motion.
Go ahead, Fred.
Make a motion that the planning commission, Make a motion that the planning commission recommends to the village board that the building site and operation plan for the construction of a multifamily residential development consisting of 130 units and a clubhouse on the parcel located on the southeast corner of 4 Mile Road and North Green Bay Road be approved for the following reasons. 1, the proposed use is permitted under the underlying zoning district and complies with the building site and operation plan review requirements. 2, the proposal is consistent with the 2035 comprehensive plan land use designation of high-density residential.
Thank you. Can I have a second, please?
Second.
All right, with a motion and a second, I'll open to the floor for discussion on the motion. Nancy, Jeff?
I can always go first, or I can go last. It doesn't
Oh,
matter.
go ahead.
Yeah. So, there's been a lot of chatter, out there on this, and I think it's basically a really good project kind of thing. And I think the developers coming forward are really good developers. So I think from that stand, we're looking at something quality that would come in. I've got one question on, let's see if I wrote my notes right, which one I wrote it on for Natalia. You said that the exterior materials on the clubhouse are not in compliance. What are we out of, and it has nothing to do necessarily with it's right or what's out of compliance?
So the north facade, which is a
Right.
good part of the
Yep.
visible building perimeter, is composed of 60% of materials that are not within our acceptable materials list, so shingle roofing and metal roofing.
So it's the roofing, that's the roofing materials that they want to use that are out. Are they far out of our approved list or what have you?
The requirement would be to have a maximum of 35% of materials that are not within our list. However, all of the other facades within the visible perimeter are 100% within our
So it's
approved list.
35 to 60. But
30
roughly. Okay.
Well, yes.
Yeah.
So they are proposing along the north facade
Right.
only 60% of materials
on
that
that
are not
one
within
side.
our list.
Okay,
Yes, just
thank you.
within that one part. And then the other two facades that are within the visible perimeter
good.
are 100%
Okay.
composed of acceptable materials.
One of the other things I noticed was, and I know this may sound silly, but it's the dumpsters. You got 3 dumpsters, which is great, but it looks like there's going to be some significant walking for some people with their trash to get over from, say, building 3 to one of the dumpsters. It's just a comment. I'm not a complaint on it kind of thing. Having lived in those kind of places where you got to trot that over in the wintertime, it can be a challenge. And I noticed we're talking about putting in sidewalks on both 4 Mile and North Green Bay, but the sidewalks won't go anywhere. I mean, it's going to be a sidewalk that's a stop and a start. So I don't know, Ryan, is there an advantage to this that I'm not catching?
Yeah, it's just like Pac-Man. You hit the wall and you turn back around. Keep going.
That's a good
It-
one.
Unfortunately, the property due east of this, and I don't want to speak over you guys or anything that you have, but as part of this development, this was a requirement. But unfortunately, the property to the east doesn't have the same right-of-way that we have now on this development, where we were able to get a full 45-foot from the center as part of the CSM. Property to the east only has a 33-foot dedicated for right-of-way for public improvement. There's not space to even have that sidewalk with the roadside ditch and everything else that's already in that right-of-way, let alone to be able to connect it to the existing sidewalk that's
It's
to
down by the
east.
post office.
Yeah, I mean, it's not very far. It's probably, maybe 250 feet to the east of it, but ideally, it's set up so that there is connection, so that anybody in this apartment complex, whether they're gonna walk to the grocery store or whatever is to the east, the bus system, what have you, it's set up for that connection.
So that it's the future connection that would be the advantage. But is there then an advantage? Well, I guess it's a half advantage if you're going down North Green Bay kind of thing. And yeah, are you saying that Ryan, that the TIA is back in the packet that we got? Because, we saw it before, but I didn't see it in the current one.
If you saw something before, it was more than likely mistakenly draft placed on the documents. We usually don't try to put anything that's not even accepted or fully approved at that time, and we didn't get a fully drafted and recommended version of the TIA until only a couple weeks ago. And so to include that in the packet when I already have a summary of those recommendations, when it's a 200-page technical document,
Yeah, I read
didn't
it.
seem as fitting to bombard you guys with that much reading and review when I guess my job is to do that for you guys, is to provide you the best layman terms version of a technical
No,
paper that I can.
I can
So-
I can appreciate that. But
I'll
what-
definitely provide you any more context as you need fit, but it will also come forth in April as a full village board approval, which we always do those for those
Right.
big
And-
TIAs.
And I appreciate looking at the drawing that's up now with those 2 lanes, but when I read the document, it talked about the C and the D level of assessments of this intersection, and then if I understood you correctly, C is acceptable in the village when we have, that would mean that A and B is out there also, but my concern is, and it's been a concern for a long time, and I know we're addressing it, and that's that left turn off of North Green Bay. Because I understand, we all can agree, roundabout would be the perfect solution. Unless we can put one up in the air, it isn't going to happen in this location because we just don't have the land to do it. But my reaction to reading that report was I didn't see their solutions of stop signs or stoplights as particularly useful. So I think this is still going to be incredibly challenging.
Well, and that kind of goes to show you the reason we don't put drafts up there, because
People
the
read
full
it.
version, and the reason it gets to 200 pages, because a full-fledged traffic signal warrant analysis was performed by the consulting
Afterward,
engineers.
yeah.
Yeah, that included a 12-hour study of volume, and they have to look at multiple things, whether it's 8-hour volume, 4-hour volume, peak hour,
I think that was,
railroad crossings,
Yeah.
traffic incidents. There's a list of things they have to go through.
I think that was in whatever it was I read because it was up on Zoning Hub because I remember paying attention to that.
And maybe there was some summary aspects reviewing it, but there was actually all of the data that supports and goes with that. And all of that data tells us that it is not a recommended solution. And it needs a 600% increase in volume on the south of Pro or Green Bay Road for it to even meet that first
Okay,
warrant analysis. So
thanks. That's,
if the current delay increase, I think I documented, was maybe 79 seconds. And when I actually physically went out there and studied the intersection myself last week during that peak hour, I never got that high on anybody's time or queue buildup. And in all honesty, most people are going to be waiting that long, if not more, anyway, if there's a signal there.
well, and it's also true that the wait times at that intersection decreased after the bridge got opened down by River Run because we had a lot of traffic moving this way temporarily at that point. So I guess the last thing that when I was looking at it, this is in our TID 6, and initially we were looking at $4.6 million spent on this, potentially to be spent on this particular intersection. So now with what this is looking like, we won't be looking at those kinds of costs.
I'm not going to speak on TID-related fully things. This would be a public improvement within that TID zone, how those numbers get shifted accordingly to how those developments
No,
look
I-
as, yeah.
No, I appreciate that. So, I mean, otherwise, I think it's a good option for us.
Thank you, Nancy. Anybody else? Are you aware of the conditions they put? Okay. Anybody else?
Ryan,
Oh, I'm sorry.
oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
On those sidewalks, are they gonna be asphalt or are they gonna be concrete?
Concrete.
Really? I mean, you could make them a little bit wider where they could actually be used as a bike, for bikes to go on also, you know, around that corner?
I'm not going to necessarily argue and disagree.
No,
with
I mean,
wider
it's
isn't
just-
better, but
I've seen it in other communities in lieu of concrete.
there are site restrictions, unfortunately, to some of the development aspects here. We are unfortunately in a rural cross-sectional area, unless they were to redo this with curb and gutter, with everything adjacent to it. There's an open ditch and culverts, and there's
Yeah.
limited right-of-way available to even maintain a 5-foot sidewalk with appropriate slopes and utility poles all in the way, that they actually have to recommend the path onto private property, which we have to now also get an easement and coordinate and work with them on how that access is maintained.
Okay, so they're gonna be a standard 4-foot sidewalk,
I think at least it's drafted at 5 feet. 5 feet, yeah, which
Okay.
is,
but I mean, it could
Reasonable.
also be, but you're calling for concrete, though.
Yeah.
In lieu, as opposed to asphalt, which is
It's-
probably easier to repair at any point.
I think the longevity of a concrete sidewalk will do quite well.
All right,
Thank you. Jeff, did you have?
Yeah, I mean, I'll be in support of this motion, but ultimately, as part of the traffic study and, you know, the TID, I know I'm not going to make a comment on, but I think it might be good if down the road, adding a right turn lane only on North Green Bay Road might work. The people turning left are maybe going to sit there forever, and, you know, that is what it is until a roundabout or a signal gets on. But if you could do a right turn only, was that looked at as part of the study? Cost aside, I know we're not talking about that, but is that something that could be added with the TID for anyone going east, which I suspect will be a sizable amount of the people at that intersection that may cut down some of the wait times
Are
potentially?
you talking about making the entire thing right only?
No, just make put a right turn so people can get
There,
around.
there is.
Like a longer one if the level is.
Oh, yeah,
too
sure,
long.
that could be looked at, but there's a little to no delay for anybody going right turn right
Yeah,
now,
that-
based on the current queues.
Yeah, I don't notice any problems, but if this takes off and there's, you know, suddenly a bunch of people there, they could of course go through the development and make a right turn at the other driveway further east, and maybe it wouldn't matter, but. Just a thought and a question. I'm sure you guys have looked at it though, but overall, I think this is really good.
Thank you. Amy?
And again, I'm not always up to date here on what the rules are. The streets, if we're looking at putting in these, turn-only lanes and things like that, is that a village responsibility or is that a responsibility they're covering?
That'll be some, I don't know if you want to take it, I don't speak TID very well.
I can take a stab at it. The modifications to the road will be upon the developer to pay for the costs and construction for. Now, because this is in a TID, TIDs often incentivize or offset infrastructure costs, because as a part of a TID, sometimes this road improvement wouldn't occur unless development came through. And so there can be some money that is used from the increment that's generated from this project that could go back to pay for, offset the cost of that infrastructure modification. So just to rephrase, the developer on the front end is going to pay for the cost, and then over time, the tax increment will then pay for those costs back to the developer.
Okay, question 2. With the traffic study, and again, I hate that intersection. Trying to turn left there is a nightmare at like 4:30 in the afternoon. With the traffic study, did they look at, and I think the buildings are beautiful and there's been a whole lot of uglier options. So I think those buildings are beautiful. Your landscaping looks amazing. I think you could do a little bit better on those dumpster things, but okay. But my question is, have we looked at, you said it's 79 seconds. If we did less buildings, does that go down? Did they look at that? Instead of doing 5 buildings, if we only did 4 buildings, is there a reduction in time on that left-hand turn?
That's current traffic.
That's a
Well,
current.
the level of service is already exceeding our requirements for this development as it exists today. So no matter what, there's already, I think I wrote in there, it's 63 seconds of delay during the PM peak hour, so between 3:30 and 4:30.
Okay.
So it increases, and that they've included in this the future residential development. So it's already analyzing, I believe, most accurately and conservatively what they should be looking at, which is the development here and future development to the south, which will be eventually residential single-family homes. So I think the difference between those two will be negligible.
Okay.
Okay.
Anybody else? Well, we'll move on to the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion's carried. We are therefore adjourned. Thank everybody.
Hey, I win the bet, Tom.
Yeah, you were on time. Well, you're 3 months early.